I call the meeting to order in a second. Now I call the meeting to order. All right. We're going to start with our Pledge of Allegiance by Eric Woodhouse.
Will the audience please rise? Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, we have our inspirational thought by Tammy Brunst.
Okay, I was asked to share an inspirational thought, and you just never know where you're going to find some inspiration. So our inspiration today came from Paddington Bear Goes to Peru, of all places. So let me share little tidbit of inspiration that I got from Paddington Bear. As educators and leaders, we're on a journey that's filled with both challenges and opportunities. Let's think about that simple yet powerful idea, and this was Paddington's thought. All it takes to light the darkness is one candle of faith. Okay, so think about that. A candle, how much light can a candle give? In the wide world of education, each of us has our own candle. This candle stands for our strong belief in our students' potential, the strength of our community, and the amazing power of education. Even when the path seems uncertain, remember that one flame can cut through the darkness, sparking hope and inspiring change. Let's be that candle for our students, and that's what we want to do at Orchard. We want to be that candle for our students, their families, and each other. By keeping our belief in our shared mission strong, we create a beacon of hope. This light not only helps our students find knowledge and grow, but also lights up their unique paths to success. With faith guiding us, we can turn challenges into stepping stones and light the way towards a brighter, more enlightened future for everyone.
Thank you. All right, tonight let's start our recognitions. As the Board of Education, it is important for us to recognize various accomplishments made by students, employees, and patrons throughout Alpine School District. As we honor the individuals and groups this evening, we acknowledge the families and others who have helped them achieve their goals. Thank you for the support you have offered to those we recognize at this time. We appreciate your attendance here tonight as we honor Orchard Elementary with You Make a Difference recognitions. We are excited to honor various individuals from Orchard Elementary. Stacy Bateman from the Alpine Foundation Board will make our presentations for our You Make a Difference awards.
Okay, so when I say your name, if you will come up, if your principal is here, I'd like to invite them to come up with you as well. We're going to start with Amber Blackett. Amber Blackett is a shining star at Orchard Elementary, dedicating her time and passion to enrich our school community. From tirelessly supporting classroom teachers to co-leading the Hope Squad program, her leadership as a past PTA president and active involvement in the school community council have left a lasting impact. Amber's initiative in organizing our community health night and her support for the folklorical dance program exemplify her commitment to fostering a vibrant and inclusive environment for all. Megan Snow. Megan Snow has served as the SCC chair at Orchard for the past 3 years, helping us stay focused on how to support student learning. She tirelessly ensures that teachers feel valued and appreciated, once even going above and beyond by cooking dinner for the entire faculty during Teacher Appreciation Week single-handedly with a little help from her family. Her unwavering commitment and selfless contributions make Megan an invaluable asset to our school community. Annalisa Fielding. At Orchard Elementary, we are incredibly fortunate to have an outstanding paraprofessional named Annalisa Fielding, who has seamlessly stepped into the role of Reading Intervention Coordinator. She not only leads a dedicated team of paraprofessionals, but also passionately supports our most vulnerable and at-risk students by teaching them essential phonics and reading skills. Her excellent collaboration with other teachers ensures a cohesive and supportive educational environment for all students throughout the school. Yvonne Paredes. Yvonne is an indispensable part of Orchard Elementary, serving as a vital bridge to our Hispanic community through her biliteracy, compassion, and empathy. As an office secretary, she delivers 110% effort, consistently going above and beyond to support the students and families with heartfelt dedication. Her ability to connect deeply with students, sharing in their joys and feeling their struggles, creates a safe and nurturing environment. Yvonne's joy and enthusiasm are contagious, making Orchard a truly wonderful place, and her impact is felt in every corner of our school. Sarah Jennings. Sarah is a rock star in our 6th grade DLI team. From the moment she walked into her interview, her skill, passion, and dedication were clear. She's amazing at teaching Spanish with lots of enthusiasm, and she has this genuine way of encouraging empathy and cultural understanding in her students. Her positivity, resilience, and desire to learn not only make her teaching effective for student learning, but also keep the team together, making her a much-loved part of Orchard. Savannah Watson. Savannah is a remarkable leader at Orchard Elementary, taking on numerous leadership roles, including taking on a challenging 4-5 split class just after maternity leave. That is impressive, ma'am. Her deep roots at Orchard, beginning as a student at the school, underscore her commitment to give back to her community. Savannah possesses an extraordinary ability to connect with students and parents, transforming the lives of those in her care. Her dedication and talent make her an invaluable asset to our school community.
If we can hold this real quick, board, I actually decided, can we have you guys scoot in? This is a smaller group. I'd like to be able to kind of cluster the picture together. Sorry, this is called a retake. It's pretty common. Okay, cool. Yeah, this looks a lot better. Thank you so much for that. All right, awesome. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Come on.
we will turn the time over to Principal Cynthia Cardenas from Orchard Elementary for student recognitions.
I'm not quite that tall, but it's okay. I get the best part because I get to talk about the kids. So we're going to start with kindergarten, and we have Lox Stowers, if Lox will come up. All right, we found our students through resilience, and their whole team, so all of the kindergarten teachers got together, and they came up with these names themselves. Oh, thank you. So Lox Stowers has shown remarkable growth in every aspect of our kindergarten curriculum, demonstrating strong skills in making friends and following directions. He bravely faces difficult situations, and we all appreciate having him in our class. It's from his teachers. The next one is Lucy Nelson. You can give it, that's fine. That would be easier. Okay, Lucy. She's in first grade, and this is what all of the first grade teachers said about Lucy. She approaches every challenge with resilience, maintaining a positive attitude and kindness, even when faced with struggles. She exemplifies grit by bouncing back when things don't go as planned, and we admire her determination. That's Lucy. Next up, we have Gent Nukaya. I don't think I see him. I don't see him out there, so I'll just read his. Gent has been working hard on growing and learning. His persistence and willingness to learn are commendable. He always approaches learning with a smile and an eagerness to improve. Okay, and then our third grader is Aniston Henderson. Super smiley. These are all my smile champions. Okay. Aniston has made significant progress in her reading this year, exemplifying how hard work, a positive attitude, and dedication can foster academic growth. Her efforts have inspired both her teachers and her peers. That's Aniston. In fourth grade, we have Joshua Navarrete. Despite finding school challenging, Joshua has worked exceptionally hard and demonstrated impressive growth since the beginning of the year. His determination is truly inspiring, and he knows it. Fifth grade, we've got Dante Underwood. I don't know if I saw. Dante has exhibited outstanding growth emotionally, socially, and academically this year. His development in these areas has been truly impressive. So that's Dante. And sixth grade, we have Jackson Eversole. Woo-hoo. Since August, Jackson has shown considerable growth, bravely trying new things and persevering in both his academic work and collaborations with others. His courage and determination are evident in his progress. That's Jackson.
All that front row scoot in to make sure
Okay, now we're going to give just a little overview of Orchard Elementary. I have been extremely blessed to be the principal there for the last 3 years, and they're my people, they're my family. The students are amazing, the employees outstanding, and the parents are beyond supportive. Oh, okay, I'm gonna not cry because I love them all. So some of the things that are unique to Orchard is that we are a dual language immersion school, which is 50% Spanish, 50% English for part of our students, and then the others are general education students. But it really is, we've done a really big job this last 3 years on trying to bring both programs together and having a really inclusive environment where everyone is represented. Whether they're in the DLI program or the Gen Ed program, they're all very important to Orchard. Some of the things that we've done with our priority of reading and how we're really trying to get all students reading. We've started a program last year called Wild About Reading, and it's minutes read aloud at home. So students clocked all their times. There were prizes and things just like a fundraiser, but it was a reading challenge, and we recorded last year 150,000 minutes. Over 150,000 minutes were read during the month of February. So that's pretty impressive. And right now we're in the middle of it still, so we've got 1 week left to see where we're at this year of doing the same challenge. Our PTA and our community involvement is amazing. They've, as was said earlier, we've had a community health night. They support teachers by coming and volunteering and providing them with extra educational opportunities, as well as Junior Hope Squad was mentioned as well. And that's a group of our 5th and 6th, and they kind of act as our Hope Squad and our student council, and 4th grade too, sorry. 4th grade is in there too. And they keep the tempo up and try to keep happiness and that inclusive environment going. As well as we do, sorry, I've lost my voice. We've had plays since we've been there too, and so students are able to participate in many different types of activities. And some of our plays, we just finished Pinocchio in January, and it was amazing. And the kids come out, and it's just for a week, and it's just absolutely surprising what they can do in a week with Missoula Children's Theater. That's who we've done it through. Orchard is just a great place where education and culture and community all come together and thrive. And it's been a wonderful place to be the last 3 years. So.
Thank you, Mrs. Cardenas. We appreciate her being here tonight and for all of our students at Orchard Elementary. We also want to honor our state champions. Our teams from American Fork High School, our 6A state boys state swim champions, as well as our Lone Peak High School 6A state girls state champions. And just for your awareness, even though they're not with us tonight, we do have award certificates that are going to be sent to the schools to be given to the students during their recognition ceremonies. So let's give a hand to these two schools and their swim team.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to community comments. We have about 30 minutes set aside. We should be good. A sign-up sheet was available prior to the meeting to allow patrons the opportunity to speak. Those living outside of ASD and those who were unable to sign up before all slots were full can submit written comments via the feedback button. As you are called up, please introduce yourself by stating your name. You will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. While the board does not engage in a discussion during the public comment period, they may arrange for a staff member to communicate with you later. Personnel issues are not appropriate discussion items for an open meeting environment, and if you have a personnel concern, please contact a member of administration or put your concerns in writing and email it to the Board of Education. Oh, yes, and if you were here for recognitions, you are free to go.
Thank you for coming, supporting your children.
Okay, our first community comment is from Kathy Thorpe.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Thorpe, and I'm a parent of 3 children who attend Foothill Elementary. I have 2 boys in ALL and 1 girl in the general ed classroom. We do live in the Centennial boundaries, and we are grateful to be able to attend at Foothill. I'm sure some of you probably took a statistics class in college like I did. I'm not going to lie, it was a tough class, and I didn't really get the connection to my major until a professor taught me that the point of statistics is to identify the outliers. Picture with me, if you will, a bell curve, and on the very far end here, we've got the special ed kids who we spend a lot of time and resources on helping, as well we should. But on the other end, we have the gifted kids. They are outliers too. They have neurodiverse brains, and they also have special needs. They're just simply wired differently than neurotypical kids, and they need specialized instruction to best suit their needs. The ALL program has been a lifesaver for my boys in terms of education that fits their need for complexity and challenge, and also in terms of finding their tribe. My son no longer sits alone at the buddy bench at recess like he did at his old school because he was different. The reason I'm here tonight is to ask that Foothill Elementary be given 18 FTEs for the 25-26 school year so we can maintain this program that has been so beneficial to the gifted community. The situation with 3rd grade this year at Foothill has been extremely challenging. 3 class sections were cut down to 2 just a few days before school started, and 9 to 10 general ed students were put in with ALL. This is like taking 10 7th grade algebra students and putting them into a trigonometry class to balance the numbers. It is frustrating for the trigonometry students, for the algebra students, and for the teacher. It's a lose-lose situation. I understand that these are strange times and the board doesn't want to make too many permanent changes because the district will split in 2 years, but please don't just sit in complete limbo. Keep in mind that for the students, 2 years is 15% of their K-12 education. In line with the board's moral imperative to prioritize teacher effectiveness and student achievement, please give Foothill the resources to have 3 class sections for 3rd through 6th grades. 1 for ALL and 2 for Gen Ed. This is vital in order to maintain the integrity of the program as well as to serve the needs of the general ed students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Annie Lambert.
Hi, my name is Annie Lambert. I'm also from Foothill Elementary. I have 3 children in the school district that have all thrived in the ALL programs over the past 5 years. Last year, my 3rd grade daughter tested into the program, and as Kathy said, just before school started, we were informed that the class needed to accommodate 9 more general education students because they didn't have enough FTEs for an ALL-only teacher. So there are currently only 2 classes in the 3rd grade ALL, a general ed and a general ed ALL mixed class, and one has 30 and one has 32 students. My daughter's mixed class hasn't been able to move at the same pace that my boys were able to enjoy in previous years. In speaking to my daughter's teacher, I learned that she has less time to do ALL enrichment activities since she's helping with students who are struggling to keep up, and that the class is much farther behind in math than previous classes at this point in the year. This has also created a difficult situation for the other third grade teacher and class, as most of the students in the grade who are struggling academically are now concentrated into one class. The current plan is to have the same two classes move up to fourth grade, perpetuating the situation for general education and ALL students. Foothill Elementary happens to be our boundary school, but this mixed class situation is unfair to the families from out of boundaries who drive their children to Foothill in order to participate in a program that isn't fully functioning as it should. It's also unfair to any child who tests into ALL this year from surrounding schools, but isn't offered a spot because there isn't room due to the general education students filling the rest of the class. Foothill needs to have 3 classes in third grade in order to preserve the integrity of the ALL program, and so that the general education students aren't disproportionately affected. I'm advocating for Foothill Elementary to be granted an additional FTE, so having 18, that would allow for fourth grade ALL only class next year and 2 general education classes. And this additional FTE would also allow additional students outside of the Foothill boundaries to be able to come to Foothill, because as of now they cannot because it is full. I understand that these decisions are affected by many factors, but I hope that the district can preserve the intent of the ALL program at Foothill Elementary, offering students that learn at a faster pace the environment needed to stay engaged and learn effectively. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. We have a staff member that can meet with you in the hallway if you, Kathy and Annie, if you want to meet with them outside the boardroom, sorry. Okay, we are going to move on to routine business. Superintendent Farsworth.
Yes, you've received the routine business for this board meeting. It includes LEA, specific licenses, and the land trust amendments. Appreciate Scott and his team in putting those together for you, and we recommend that you approve the routine business.
Do I have a motion to approve routine business?
I move that we approve the routine business.
I'll second it.
All right. We have a motion by Julie and a second by Sarah. Sorry. All those in favor say. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that is approved.
Thank you. We'll move on to the action items. We have 2. The first one is the fiscal year 26 capital outlay budget. We reviewed that in study session, and pending discussion by the board, we recommend your approval of that budget.
Okay, any discussion? Oh, first. It's fine.
I move that we approve the FY26 capital outlay budget.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Well, I'll just speak to it a little bit. I really appreciated the thoroughness of the presentation and the thought that goes into deciding which of these projects has the highest priority, and I feel like the items in this budget are priority items and should be funded.
Jason, can I ask a clarifying question? So really we do like the major budget in June. So we're kind of like pre-approving this section of the budget because we want to make sure that that staff can move forward. Like, for example, with the remodel of Lake Ridge or Bonneville. I know a lot of the projects happen over the summer with physical facilities as far as, like the resurfacing and things like that. So this is really us kind of like pre-approving a section of the budget so that a lot of our teams, like physical facilities, technology, transportation, when we have to order buses in advance, we're kind of giving them the go-ahead to move towards that, knowing that the full budget will be approved in June. That's correct.
That's correct, yeah. And like we shared in study session, the capital and the operation budgets are a little different, where the capital it's the total budget each year, and it's requested and brought in that way. And so there are a lot of projects that will start the ordering process right away, and then even some of the construction things that will start in May and June when when the schools are available before the fiscal year ends at the end of June. And I'd also say that it's been a great process this year and last to be able to, because of the efforts of the board, to be able to add to the increments, that there's more flexibility, more available to do these things because of the commitment of the board to the capital fund.
Awesome. I just want to thank you for clarifying that. I just want to make sure that everybody understood. I just want to give a huge shout out to physical facilities. I know that I think sometimes there's an assumption like nothing happens over the summer. And I would say that like behind the scenes, whether that's the technology department, purchasing, warehousing, like summer, sometimes like the busiest season when, you know, we have a new school opening this year, which means there's a lot of purchasing happening, whether it's desks and chairs being delivered. And I just want to give a shout out because there is a small army of people who behind the scenes make sure that schools are ready to function, that we have enough school buses ready to roll, and that we can yank some out of the, we call it the boneyard. So I just wanted to thank all those people, and I appreciate how aggressive we're being in making sure that needs are met, so thank you.
No, I just wanted to mention, I just really appreciate your inclusive and collaborative process. A lot of people give their input, and there's a lot of back and forth, and we were able to fund, I thought, a good chunk of the projects that were requested on a limited budget. So thank you for all that you and your team do to make that happen.
Thank you. It is a great team. And we have in that district budget committee, we have board members, we have advisory committee, DLT, but then there's also principals that come in and are able to give input and kind of see how the process and be able to view that. So it's a great process there.
Great. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion by Mark and a second by Julie. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. All right, it passes.
Wonderful. We would invite Principal Brian Jolly to come forward, have the opportunity to finalize the name of a new middle school. Remember last board meeting, Principal Jolly shared some possibilities with us. We appreciate you, Brian, and the process that you have engaged in. It was significant in its collaborative efforts involving students and patrons, and we appreciate that tone that you're setting for that school, that this is a collaborative community where we work together to find great outcomes. So we would entertain the board naming a school so that we can move forward.
All right. Thank you for those kind words, Superintendent. I've never been more excited in the last several months, and I've probably never been more nervous either. So here we go, all right? There's some permanency tonight that we're dealing with. So I just wanted to quickly remind you before you entertain a motion to name the school of our three options. We have these are in alphabetical order. Our first option is the Coyote Ridge Middle School, home of the Mavericks. We are really excited about this option. We think the name is unique. It provides a great aspirational image for our students as far as who they can become. We love the fact that coyotes are tough and strong and intelligent, clever, resilient, and are resourceful problem solvers. So, and of course, we love this idea of the Mavericks. I would say of the two mascots that we're considering, this is far and wide a very, very popular one amongst, I think, the group that matters most, and that's our students. The Maverick is just this, you've got this rugged spirit of independent adventure and exploration and risk-taking and boldly seeking creative solutions. So that is our first option. Our second option is the Sage Canyon Middle School Coyotes. And we love this option as well. There's so much to be said about Sage and what it represents in our community. Anyone who drives through Eagle Mountain, you're going to see a lot of sage, and we love that it's resilient and hardy and that it's abundant in the region. And of course, with that mascot of the Coyotes, we've already talked about the significance of that. Sage Canyon is a another option that is widely favored by a lot of people as well. So the third option is the West Desert Middle School Coyotes. And we love this option for a lot of reasons. The location, of course, is kind of self-evident. The desert calls to mind endurance, resilience, and a pioneering spirit. So the students certainly love this Wild West imagery, and they love the desert as an option and felt like West Desert was the right version of desert for us to consider in that area. So those are our three options. Do you have any questions for me? All right.
Okay.
Any questions? Any discussion?
I know that you have been sworn to secrecy, but do you want to, of the three, is there one that was a little more popular or that you felt like parents and those stakeholders kind of maybe lean towards a little more than the other?
Yeah, I would say that although all three are very well liked and we would be happy with any of the three, we feel like that the Coyote Ridge Mavericks is one that stands out just a little bit more, especially when because of its uniqueness, yes, but also because of that mascot piece that you bring into it. That is far and wide the most favorite mascot of our students. So,
Could I ask our board member King to speak to this, because I really value your input?
please.
Brian, now it's getting awkward.
Yeah, that's fine.
I will actually say that my personal preference is Coyote Ridge. I think it's unique. I like that it's different. I will say the largest amount of community feedback I've had supports Sage Canyon.
Great.
So that was my intent.
And that's fine. It's when I said it was, it's not like it's this, right?
Right.
It's very dead even on the name. So.
I wish Mark had not asked the question now.
Well, we could always propose the sage grouse, middle school, and that would create a differential. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes, I move that we name the new middle school in Eagle Mountain Sage Canyon.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Julie and a second by Joy Lynn. Any discussion?
I really do like Coyote Ridge better, but the amount of feedback that I got, and there was quite a bit of feedback, was that it was largely supported as Sage Canyon. So.
Yeah, and that's the process we go through, right? We have to suspend our own personal preferences. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I do want to echo what Superintendent Farnsworth said. I think that the way that you've gone about it, like there's been a huge, I think, commitment from the naming committee, from faculty, from employees, from the community, from our students. I love that you had a high level of student engagement on this one. So really appreciative of the entire process. So just want to thank you all for being that in-depth about it, and I feel like they've done a really great job capturing the culture of the area, and I'm incredibly grateful.
And our students are fully, like when you look at the mascot situation, there's so much that students love about the Coyote and our staff. There's a real branding that can happen here that's going to create a sense of community. And that's what matters most, and we'll do that. So,
Brian, could you comment on you did last time, but I think for those that weren't listening last time, just the color choice stays consistent throughout all three. Could you comment on that?
Yeah, our color choice stays the same no matter what. Our students love this black and this what we call Vegas gold. It's a darker gold. And then you bring in that sage green, which is exactly what we have, which obviously matches really well with the name, as a third color that will be used when needed to provide accent. But across the board, our students and our staff love this black and gold, and once again, it's very unique. There's not a school in our district at the secondary level that has this black gold combo. So we absolutely love that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can I pose a question? Well, a couple of questions. Board Member King, is the feedback that you received, is that adult feedback or is that kid feedback? Just curious.
Well, the majority of the people who contacted me who have my cell phone number are adults. I don't give my cell phone to minors,
Okay.
but
And is there an actual canyon called Sage Canyon?
no, there is not.
There's not.
No.
The nearest canyon is called West Canyon, but that's a little far away from us, and we believe that someday in our future there will probably be a school out there, and it would be more appropriate for them to be West Canyon than us. But Canyon was we looked at many options with Sage, and far and wide, Sage Canyon was the most popular of those, so very, very well-liked.
Okay, we have a motion by Julie. Yes, there was a second by Joy Lynn. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. All right, unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, Superintendent Farnsworth, discussion action items, please.
Yes, we have 2 items for discussion and potential action. We appreciate Dr. Rich Stoll, who is our Public Relations Director. He has brought to our attention the opportunity for our schools to receive a designation with respect to, it's called a Purple Star School, as we support military families. Dr. Stoll has a military background as well. We appreciate his work in our district, and so we invite you to discuss this. He's going to present some information so you know kind of what this entails. The reason it is on the board agenda for a possible action item is we've sent you out a resolution that would be fitting for the board to adopt if it is the will of the board to support our schools in seeking this designation as Purple Star schools.
Thank you, Superintendent. The Purple Star Schools program is a Utah State Board of Education sponsored program. The designation would be earned by individual schools, but we can support schools in those efforts at the district level by passing a board resolution which would satisfy one of the requirements that the schools would need. It's a fairly simple application process for the schools, and essentially the designation would signal to the community that that the school is a place where students who are military connected are welcome and have all the supports needed when circumstances associated with military family life might otherwise impede their learning.
Could you clarify a little bit what the expectations would be of those schools seeking that and what support they might need from the district?
Yeah, so there are 5 requirements for a school to achieve the designation. One of them is that they have a point of contact that could sort of manage the program. One of them is to have a web page on the school site that lists resources available to military families and educators who are looking for resources to support those students. One of them is to provide some simple staff training to understand what some of the unique needs of these students are. And another one is to have this board resolution in support of the Purple Star Schools program. And then probably the most important one is that these schools would organize a student-led transition team. And the point of this student-led transition team would be to welcome new students to the school who might be coming in mid-year because of a military transition. So that might not impact many of our students, but what we've found in talking to a lot of these principals is they already have student-led teams that are set up to welcome students and make them feel part of the school community. So the additional requirement here would be to notify those students that they are also participating in the Purple Star Schools program.
Where might a school look for curriculum support or those other things? Is that school by school? Is that something we could provide and support as a district?
That's something that we are providing as a district. And of course, many schools are going to have find additional resources, but we'll supply a set of resources that are standard that any school could draw on to provide for educators, parents, or students.
Board Member Peterson, does anyone have the language that we require for this?
I have it.
I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, I have it. Sorry.
Will we make a motion according to that language?
That was my intention, yes. This is something that hits very close to home. I have a brother in the military, and I have nephews who have been affected by his service, and I think any support that we can give to veterans and military children is such a great opportunity for us.
Can I ask a quick question, Rich? When it talks about like the training of staff, is that something where we intend to have that created at the district level and then just pushed out to schools that access it, or will each school be required to create their own training?
Schools are not required to create training. This was not designed to impose a burden on schools. There's training available that the state makes, that the state has provided, and part of this interstate compact, there are nonprofits that make training available that's endorsed by the state. So we would just basically point schools and staff to these training opportunities. Most of them are videos, some of them are online content.
Okay, so it's stuff that's already in existence. We would just say, here's the website, go in
Exactly.
and complete the training.
Yes.
And then along with that, the web page of the resources, is that something where, once again, we would be providing supports for that? I mean, I know we've talked about just recently about, aligning all of our web pages and the support for that. Is it something where we would just help provide that and the school would just load their individual content on as far as like who their point of contact is?
That's exactly right. We've created a template at the district level that has everything required on the web page. And so far, 2 schools have reached out saying we want to apply this template to our school site. So we've just copied it over, and then they can edit, change the point of contact, add resources if they want, add photos if they hold military events. But we provide the initial template so they could get started instantly meeting that requirement.
And I think if I remember correctly, there was a section about having a military event every year. Is that, am I remember correctly?
Yes, that's correct. You're remembering that correctly. That's not a requirement. For schools that hold military events, that would stand in place of the board resolution.
Oh, okay. And then once you're a Purple Star school, as long as you maintain those things, like how often does the training have to be completed? Is it like every year or every few years?
There's not a specific requirement for how often the training has to be done. The principal just has to indicate that staff have been trained.
So it sounds like some of these things, once they're done, as far as the training, the board resolution, they're kind of just in place and it's like check, check, that's completed. But then some of the ongoing stuff like the student-led transition team and the point of contact would be more kind of an ongoing thing.
That's correct. They would have to be updated and maintained.
And is there anything where there has to be a renewal every certain number of years? Is it just once you receive the status is assumed to be ongoing?
I should get some clarification on that. My understanding is that it's a 3-year renewal cycle.
Okay, thank you.
I see this, at least in my schools, as being something very easy to implement. They already do Veterans Day programs. They already have Hope Squads that could very easily transition into student-led support, transition kids. I can see them be very excited to participate and disappointed if they didn't have military students. So
that's right. And as we've talked to principals, most schools are doing these things, and so we might as well celebrate that and show that they're doing them by earning the designation.
Okay, any other discussion on that? All right, I'm going to make a motion. I motion that we pass Resolution 2025-004, Whereas military families face unique challenges due to relocations, deployments, and transitions that can impact their children's educational stability and success. And whereas our schools play a crucial role in providing a supportive and stable environment for military-connected families, fostering their academic, social, and emotional well-being. And whereas we recognize the importance of being a military-friendly community and showing our commitment to the values and service of members of the armed forces in our community. And whereas Utah has adopted the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Children, and the Utah State Board of Education recognizes Purple Star schools as a way to support the families of our active duty, Guard, and Reserve personnel. Be it resolved that we, the Alpine School District Board of Education, pledge to support the Purple Star Schools program to enhance the educational experience of military-connected students, to provide for training and professional development opportunities consistent with the program, to celebrate schools who embrace the spirit of the Purple Star Schools program, and to encourage schools to become Purple Star schools in order to continue to help all students achieve the vision for learning. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Okay, with a
Oh,
motion.
hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Rich, I appreciate you bringing this forward. My daddy was a Marine. He has 4 Purple Hearts. I know what it is to be in a family. It can often be an isolating place, I think, when our students have a parent deployed. We have the parent on the home front who is, keeping everything going. And I appreciate this opportunity to formalize the recognition. I agree with Ada. So many of my schools are already doing incredible things. They are simultaneously my favorite and least favorite things to attend because I don't do so well with them as my feelings come out of my eyes often. And I think anything that we can do to signify to somebody moving into the area who may be one of these families to say, that you are welcome here and we support you, that I am very much in favor of this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, with a motion by Emily and a second by Stacy, all those who are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. All right, that passes unanimously.
Thank you, Board, for your support of that. And Dr. Stoll, I would just echo the sentiments of many board members. Thank you for your work on this, for bringing it to our attention, your advocacy for that, and your support of this resolution. So appreciate your great work. Next discussion action item is policy 4762, sexual harassment. And we invite our legal counsel to come forward to resolve any concerns and questions that the board may have with respect to this. And then if that is, I believe that's, our intention is to retire this policy.
Yes, that's correct.
If the board is ready to do that, then we would recommend that you move this to an action item and retire this policy.
Similar to last board meeting when we retired another sexual harassment policy, we started with 5. Our goal is to get to 1 and make the 1 cover all of the areas. So last time we retired the sexual harassment policy for classified employees. This time, this sexual harassment policy is for managerial staff or admin. In the future, we will also retire the student version and the certified version, and we will maintain 1 version that covers all staff and all students. And that is policy number 7150 is the one that we plan to keep, and we will update that one as well.
I move that we retire policy 4762, sexual harassment.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sarah and a second by Ada. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I had a discussion with Craig about this earlier today, and there is going to be a careful transferal of everything into 7150, including the feedback that we get from OCR, the Office of Civil Rights. the suggestions that they made regarding us having more stringent reporting and follow-up. And I think I'm correct in saying that. That policy will be a strong policy, but it will all be in one place, so.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, with the motion by Sarah and a second by Ada, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. All right, that passes unanimously.
Okay, the last two items are discussion items, the 26-27 school calendar and then future calendars. Appreciate Dr. Joel Perkins, Chief of Staff, who has overseen the calendar committees. The board recommendation was to obviously move forward with the 26-27 calendar, but also to look at future calendars that future boards could possibly adopt, so there is consistency across all three districts, at least the opportunity for consistency across all three districts with respect to a common calendar.
Okay, you should have in front of you two large pieces of paper. We're going to start with the one that just has the single calendar for the 26-27 school year. This would be the, it's a discussion item today, but this would be the official calendar for the final year of Alpine School District as it currently is constituted. The way we want to approach this is I want to walk you through how we go into building these. We appreciate the opportunity, and I need to tremendously thank our committee. We had a larger committee than we've ever had, and it was done so intentionally because we wanted to make sure that we had a principal from each level, a teacher from each level, a school committee council chair from each level, and we wanted to ensure that we were equally representing all three new school districts. We also included students. We had secondary student from each of the new districts who were on the committee. We also had a secondary and elementary representative from our association. We had a board member Lincoln, who was on our committee, and then we had 3 members of our comms team, and then myself. I knew it was going to be a heavy lift. I didn't realize what kind of lift we were talking about with the creation of 4 calendars. They were tremendous, and they all came with great attitudes, and we certainly appreciate all of their perspectives in helping us to move forward. What we think is very important, so you'll have to indulge me a little bit here. I'm gonna walk you through the process, and I'm gonna give you some of the criteria that we look at. We began our committee by looking at what we would say are the essentials for school calendars for employees. And these are the following key points that we all have to understand if we're building and looking at calendars. Number 1, state statute requires 180 days of school for students. The state statute also allows 2 of those days considered parent-teacher conference compensation days that can be used and counted as part of the 180. Those are going to be indicated on the calendar. Those will be indicated in light pink. The law also allows for up to 4 teacher work days that can be designated without students present, but those are days that the state statute counts as towards the 180 as well. Now, it is important to note that the state statute designates those days as teacher work days or professional development days. In Alpine School District, we have designated them solely as teacher work days, but obviously as we move forward, districts and boards could make a different determination of how that day would be utilized depending on what they work out with their organization. Now, also, other key elements are that there are 185 days that are considered our teacher contract days. That's what goes into our contract. And of those, there are typically 3 days prior to the start of school, and then 2 days that are scattered throughout the year, kind of a midpoint of the first semester, a midpoint of the second semester, that are professional development days. Those are in green. Those days are part of the teacher contract, but they are not part of the 180 days, school days. Everybody with me so far? And for those of you that have been on the committee before, forgive me, I just want to make sure we have this foundation established. Most of you understand this all very clearly. Things that we have also learned over the last, we could say 100 plus years in Alpine, and that is it's not best to start with a full 5 days of school the first week. We just know that that's not wise, and so we put that as one of our essentials. Our term 1 ends before fall break or with fall break, and then our term 2 ends at the winter break. And then for retirement purposes as well as popular demand, we don't go beyond Memorial Day for our schedule. Now, so we looked at those key essentials as we move forward, and then there are a few other things that we did send out a survey. You have seen the results of that survey. We have additional results if needed, but digest there, and then you can reach out and ask further questions if there's something else that you would like to see. I did, in fact, add an additional component right before the meeting about the breakdown of teacher workdays, which we'll talk about in just a moment. As we look at the survey results, overwhelmingly, the most important component that our survey results indicate is that the winter break, folks want 2 full weeks with 3 weekends for the winter break. And that is a pretty important component as we look at things. So they want that weekend to start the break, 2 full weeks off, and then that weekend before we return to school. Also very important to our patrons and those that took the survey, employees as well, is ending school before Memorial Day, a full week of school for spring break, start school as late as possible in August, and while we're at it, try to balance the terms and semesters. Now, the reason we indicate these, because these are important criteria to look at. They are ranked in the order of weighting from the survey results. And the wonderful thing about calendars is that everybody has opinions about calendars, and often those are in direct opposition to each other. And so each of these components, if you choose one, you can't always have the next one, and vice versa. And so as you work through it, it really becomes a balancing act there as we try to work through things. Now, we'll talk about, I already talked about the teacher workday data that we entered into your document so that you can review that if you'd like to see some individual breakdowns about teacher workdays. But I'm going to push hold on teacher workday conversation for a minute, because before we dive into the teacher workdays, we want to dive into how we built the schedule. And so I'm going to walk you through the process. Looking specifically at priorities, we would go directly to the winter break. So in this case, winter break, December 25th is a pivotal day, and the feedback we receive from our patrons, they prefer more days after December 25th than they do before the 25th. It's not a clean sweep, but that's where the percentage, it's like a 45, 37 or something like that. But that's where folks like, so we kind of hinge around December 25th as a pivotal place and where we place our 2 weeks with 3 weekends. So in this calendar, a 26-27 calendar, with the 25th falling on the Friday, it makes sense to go to the Christmas break on the 18th and carry through to the first returning to school on the 4th. Now, you'll notice the 4th is in a different color. I'll talk about that in a minute with teacher workdays. But as we're building, that's the first thing we slot in. The next thing we slot in is fall break. So if we go to October, this would be the end of term 1. So we'll go to October. The 15th and 16th on this calendar would be the days that are designated for fall break. And typically we have followed that up with the Monday being a professional development day. This calendar is different. I'll talk about that in a minute when we talk about work days. But we slot that into as the fall break window. Then we go to spring break. Spring break, remember, full spring break is what's wanted, a full week. In spring break, it's typically the first full week in April. That seems to be where we align with the other districts in surrounding areas. And so we slot that in. Once we have put those breaks into place, then we start to look at first and last days. And this is where we start counting days to try to ensure that we can create as close to parity as we can get. So on this calendar, first day of school is actually the 19th, which is later than we've done recently, so that's a great thing. So in order to get the right number of days there, we start school on the 19th, and then we would end school the Friday before Memorial Day. So that fills in pretty nicely when we look at those key dates. Now, if we look at terms, you can see that we count the days of the term. And this is one of those, you can't have everything you want. And so in order to create the schedule the way that we've created it, It works out fairly nice later in April, before Memorial Day, the 3 weeks for the winter break, full week for spring break. That all works out really well, but what it does create is an off balance between the terms. As we've met with our teachers and discussed, teachers are the ones that care the most about the balancing. Parents not so much, students not so much, but it is our teachers that have concerns about that. But as we look at that and talk through that, there are some things that we can do to mitigate some of that difference. We can't mitigate it all. And certainly with the last week of school, there are schedule changes that does equalize things a little bit as well. So as we look at, you'll see that in this calendar, where we're much heavier in semester 2, we do have more teacher work days that are slotted into that second semester, which help us then to provide a little bit more parity between the semesters, reduce those differences. So when we look at the workday placement, and this is key because it is tied directly to the feedback responses that we receive. The first would be January 4th, because again, remember, we start in the middle, tied to that's how we build calendars. So overwhelmingly, there is a response that if the first day from winter break could be a teacher workday, that would make all of our teachers very, very happy. Allows them to enjoy the break and then return, have a day to get themselves ready for students to return. So in this case, the 4th would be designated as a teacher workday. The next teacher workday, if we go back now to fall break, typically we've attached a teacher workday somewhere in here, but frequently the 19th would traditionally be a professional development day. But members of our committee, including board member Lincoln, came up with this idea: what if we did something different, because so much of our professional development these days is led by our teachers. So many of those teachers who are going to be presenting on Monday go into fall break with this presentation looming, and they're unable to really enjoy that fall break. And so the request of the committee, recommendation of the committee, is to make that first day, that Monday after fall break, to make that a teacher work day. Meaning teachers could work that day without students to catch up on their work. If teachers wanted to, they could utilize one of their personal leave days, at no doc personal leave days. They could take that and extend their fall break without difficulty, if that was the choice that they wanted to make. We would still need to place a professional development day, and so the committee, in the right time frame, there's really an attempt here, because a lot of the feedback we received in the survey is that day after Halloween is really, really rough. And so they wanted to try to find something, if we can't do it the day after Halloween, something in the vicinity of Halloween that would allow teachers a little bit of reprieve for that week. And so the professional development day for this calendar is named on November 2nd as a professional development day. It's still, principals felt good that timing is still good, but it would allow our teachers to enjoy their fall break and our employees to enjoy their fall break. Now, we're still short 2 teacher work days, and that would be on this calendar attached to, as we have often done in the past, attached to President's Day weekend on the 12th. Now, that's done for 2 reasons. It obviously extends that holiday weekend for our families and students, but it also is placed because that is one of the weeks of elementary parent-teacher conferences. And overwhelmingly from our elementary teachers, there is a request to try to soften the impact of that parent-teacher conference week. It is a challenging week for them. So if we place that on the 12th, that makes sense. It's one of the weeks of parent-teacher conference. It provides that opportunity for them, and for our families, it creates a 4-day weekend. And then the last placement of the teacher workday would be on March 12th, end of term 3. Very helpful for our secondary teachers to have the workday on the last day of term as they're working through their grades. And then we have that professional development day on the 15th, so it makes a longer weekend for our families, for our students. And also the brilliant part about having that professional development day on the 15th is that is the day after daylight saving time, which is always a very good time to not have students have to get up early. So it works out fairly well as you look at this calendar. Now, I've just gone through the process of how we built it, what it looks like. What questions do you have about the 26-27 calendar?
Joel, I mean, it's almost serendipitous. It's almost perfect, the whole calendar. But my question was, because I love the fact that the 4th of that January is a teacher comp day or work day. And my question is, I know the teachers are going to be thrilled with this. That's just so fun. As you sat in your calendar committee with parents, what was their reaction to this? Were they fine with it? Were they kind of
They were supportive.
Very supportive. Very or a little?
I would say very. Very. And of
I'm
course,
a parent
students were
and I'm thrilled for it.
Say that again, Stacey.
I'm a parent and I'm thrilled for it. I think when we had the year where we had the later spring or the later second week and parents, we were not sure if we were going to like that. Turns out that was lovely. So I think this gives everybody one more day, and I'm thrilled that you're giving teachers the day to be in the classroom before students.
And remember that part about being thrilled about later, because
I have a question for 2028, Dr. Perkins.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay, any other questions about 2627?
I just wanted to comment that this calendar laid out so nicely because of the placement of Christmas, and that will become a challenge in the next couple years, even though as a committee we use the same guiding principles. I was told I was supposed to make a motion to move Halloween, but I guess we could add Christmas to the list.
We did have requests in the survey that you just dictate when Halloween will be celebrated each year. Any other questions about this calendar?
So I appreciate that you've, even though there is an imbalance in the terms and the semesters, that you've compensated that by placing the teacher workdays and professional development. So teachers are okay with a 10-day difference, between the first and the last.
Yes, by the time you utilize the 3 teacher work days and the professional development day, and then you look at what the scheduling looks like the last week of school, you really end up being within 2 class periods. And to achieve this and not have to start earlier, and the only way to achieve greater balance is to start earlier in August. And teachers overwhelmingly said, we'll take the imbalance to start when we start.
Are you looking for a motion?
It's discussion.
Just discussion? Okay.
Any questions on this one? Okay, let's put that one away and let's go to the big one. Okay, this one has 3 years. We'll do our best. I'll try to, the beauty of this is in the creation there was some similarity. So 2728, thanks, I can't remember. I can't talk and click at the same time without a clicker. 2728 is very, very similar to the calendar that we just looked at. In fact, as you go through, I believe we're off basically 1 day, but all of the principles that we just talked about, everything from the start of school to the winter break, the placement of fall break, to spring break, to ending on the Friday before Memorial, is all the same. The placements of the teacher workdays are still following the same principles. And so there's not really a whole lot more to say about that calendar unless anyone has questions about that calendar. Okay, 2829 and 2930 are not pretty. That's just the reality of what we're talking about. So as we go, let's look at the middle one first, 2829. We're going to go back to the same approach. First thing we look at is the winter break. December 25th falls on a Monday in this calendar year, which poses some complications that we have experienced recently. In fact, very recently. As you look at it, what that does is if we take, in order to get 3 weekends and 2 weeks, that would have the first day of the break being potentially the 22nd, going through the 5th, with return to school on the 8th. Now, in order to help, so because we all know because was that this year or last year that we had this year? Oh, last year, thank you. Last year, with that calendar the way it was, we had a lot of concern from mainly our employees that this isn't giving me enough time to prepare for the holidays. And so in this case, because of the lateness, rather than have that teacher workday after the return, the recommendation of the committee in this case was to have that teacher workday on the 22nd, so that it would create, if our teachers chose to take that time as a personal leave day, they could do so and begin their preparations. If they wanted to use that time to wrap things up, they could do so as well. So that being what it is, we all also remember a lot of the concern about going that late into January, but as Board Member Bateman indicated earlier, once we lived it, it was pretty good. And we realized, hey, this makes January a lot easier, and so there was some help and support on that one. So that's one we need to indicate. The other differences here that we need to talk about would be as we look at fall break. Looking at fall break, there's some challenges with implementing, as we had talked about in the previous two calendars. To put that, the 23rd as a teacher workday, it could be done, but the challenge becomes the placement of the professional development day that needs to happen. In the secondary world, placement of a professional development day on a Friday is a horrible placement because of all of the extracurricular activities that happen on Fridays. It just complicates things fairly significantly. And so the consensus of our committee was, while we would prefer that be a work day coming back from the break, it probably ought to be a professional development day, with the work day being on the following Friday, which gives a little bit of gap, but still creates the time that folks need. So not the perfect solution on that, but one of the things that is different in this version and the last version as well. The other points that we need to talk about would be calendar differences in February. To attach the teacher workday on the 16th to the President's Day weekend proved a little problematic for the fact that the week that has Valentine's Day in the middle of it is not a good week for us to do parent-teacher conference. And so it doesn't bode well to create that as the parent-teacher conference week, and then we're not able to provide that support for the parent-teacher conference week. So the recommendation of the committee in this case is to separate and create in February 2 3-day weekends instead of 1 4-day weekend, which I should indicate the survey results demonstrated that our students are more interested in 3-day weekends than 4-day weekends. So that's why February looks a little bit different, but that was the recommendation of the committee on that one. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah, that would be good. So any questions that I can entertain right now on the 28, 29, please?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Oh, no, yes, 28, 29.
Yes.
I fully glitched for a minute, so my apologies. Will you restate again for my benefit why you changed the PD day and teacher work day on October and November?
Yes, and the reason for that was the committee felt that in order for us to create a day off in that week after Halloween.
Friday PDAs are bad. I got it. I heard it.
PDs
We're
are
good.
bad. But and there's no appetite at this point to go the day after Halloween, even though we'd like to provide that service to our folks. It's not very good for our families and our students to take the Wednesday off on the week. And so it just felt like that Friday was the best option. So that's why the switch for those two.
That's great. Next on Julie's legislative agenda is to get Halloween moved to last Friday of October, but that's for next year.
We would welcome that.
One other question. So the week, that first week of January is late, right? We were all surprised. We loved it. I guess because I have overwhelmingly heard from teachers where that is like their first, please give us this first day back. We would need to then put in another day somewhere else to give them that January day.
To give them the January day back, we would either need to not give them the 22nd, or we would need to remove either the February from the parent-teacher conference week or the March from the end of term 3. Or start school a day earlier.
And no thank you on that, so, all right.
So again, it's that tug of war, right? On everything has, now, we should mention that these three, as we're looking at them, this is the recommendation, or this would be what we would hope the board would recommend to the incoming boards, so that there could be some some consistency amongst our teachers. There is significant concern even amongst our committee that we could create some stability for folks, especially where they may not be teaching in the same boundary in which their kids are going to be attending school. And so recognizing that, also recognizing that this is a recommendation that the future boards would have to select. It could also be the case that a teacher work day or a professional development day placed here or there doesn't necessarily cause as much concern. What should and ought to probably be the recommendation at nothing else would be first and last days of school the same, fall break, winter break, and spring break would be the same as well. And whether one district chose to make this a work day or professional development day, that could be something that could be changed without really a lot of difficulty if that was a direction that one felt we needed to go as well.
Okay, I have 2 questions and then I'll be finished.
Great.
Are there minutes from these committees, or did you capture in some sort of digital form what the reasoning was behind this?
It's all right here.
Okay, so
I'd be happy to sit down.
No, the only reason I'm asking, because I guess in my head, I don't know what anyone else is thinking, but in my head, we've got a drive where we're putting these things, the different recommendations together. So if you could just synthesize it, and if we just throw out 3A, that's great. But just so as those new boards come in, who I don't know how many are listening now, right, that they will understand the whole process that you went through and why these days were selected. And then also if we could include in said drive that I would like to have appear somewhere, the survey feedback and the priorities for the parents, if we could capture that all together. Perfect. Thank you.
So I just, with all of these, the day before for example, the 28, 29, that day before Christmas break, the day before that usually just half a day, right?
The minimal day, and yes, and this does not contemplate any minimal days. Our committee didn't get those put in yet.
So you're planning on not doing them, or just they aren't in here yet?
We haven't put them in yet. We haven't had that discussion.
Because I think if you look at that, then they really have 2 days before, Christmas week, and that seems a little more reasonable.
And it would be doable as well. We have a committee meeting on Thursday. We could also, if the board would like us to look at, we could adjust potentially on those 28 and 29. We could take the day before. So on the 28th, 29th, that could be simply a minimal day, and we could move the teacher workday to the 8th. That could be an option. And we could do the same in 29-30 and make the 21st a minimal day, and maybe capture that teacher workday. Those are all options. We hadn't contemplated, we hadn't had discussions yet about minimal days. It was a bit, I told them, the committee, 1-hour meetings. We had 2, none of them were even close to 1 hour as much as we tried. It was substantial to create 4 calendars. And I should mention 28, 29, and 29, 30 are almost the same as the first 2 were the same. Any questions for us? Any thoughts that you'd like us to take back to the calendaring committee?
Thank you for all of this work. I do not envy you doing.
Oh, I have an
these
amazing
things.
committee. They're incredible.
Yes, and thank you to the committee. This is really amazing.
I appreciated the meeting, and I know they went a little long, but I enjoyed doing 2 years that were similar at the same time. Then you didn't have to rehash all of the reasoning behind it. So that might just be something that whoever's listening that serves on a calendar committee in some future, you may want to tag 2 years up if they're identical like that.
Great. All right. For the last item on our agenda, board member and superintendent reports and information.
Today is Tuesday, and just in the last 2 days, I've had the opportunity to attend 2 cluster meetings, and it's been so fun this last few days to see some amazing schools and the things that are happening, hearing about the goals that are being met and the wonderful things that are happening. And my favorite part is listening to how each of these schools build upon each other into the junior high, into the high school, and they all just work together for our kids. And it's wonderful to be surrounded by amazing teachers that we have in these clusters and administrators. And I just feel like, Alpine is so unique in the sense that I feel like we have found our feet with teacher training and with getting to the goals of our students and making sure that we have that connection piece to help our students. And I don't know, the last 2 days have been really, really positive. It's been wonderful.
All right, any other?
I just wanted to give a shout out to a few of the teachers in my area. On Monday, I got to spend the entire day at Westlake with Mrs. Densmore and her English 10 classes. And we got to talk about the First Amendment rights of students. And it was really fascinating to talk with students. And just some of their ideas about adults and how we try to control their access to things. But it's just been a phenomenal discussion to have with kids. I also got to do something similar at Cedar Valley High School with government and civ teachers, Mrs. Ducos, Mrs. Stratford, and Mr. Renda, and have conversations about how local government is responsive to constituents, and have students ask everything about they're not happy about the replacement of the chocolate milk. There's never enough parking. We tend to have a lot of similar complaints in every class, but I just really want to shout out to those teachers who look for ways to engage students to make sure that they're feeling connected, that they have a level of civic understanding and civic engagement, and I'm just incredibly appreciative for them for being willing to reach out, have hard conversations, and make sure that students realize that they have a voice and that they can make a difference. And I will say it was really fascinating because in the one I do at Cedar Valley, they also have individuals from the city council come, and we kind of joke after a couple of days, we can kind of give each other speeches about, what is the city's responsibility? And one of the things that actually came out from some of those discussions is that there were a group of students who a couple of years ago brought up concerns about a lack of a skate park, and there's now a skate park in Eagle Mountain specifically because of suggestions from students, and that there's been another suggestion about water fountains being on certain pathways, because we have a lot of pathways along the Pony Express Trail, and that a lot of things we're seeing changes because of students being willing to engage in that. And so I'm just incredibly grateful for teachers who recognize the power of a student voice.
I just too wanted to highlight the efforts of many schools in my area who are going so far out of their way to create cultures of caring and inclusion, especially in their holding multicultural nights. A number of the schools are just going the extra mile in reaching out to all students and all families in their schools. I've also really appreciated the extra efforts of parents in Battle of the Bands at Mountain View High School. What a fun evening. And also, I attended a school community council at Mountain View, which had to be interrupted because the whole school lines the hall to send off their wrestling team to state championships. So anyway, just great culture. Lovely, wonderful things are happening in our schools every day. Thanks.
So yesterday I went to Hadestown, and I have found in the last week that most people have no idea what Hadestown is about. So just for the sake of my story, it is Eurydice, Persephone, Hermes, Hades, Orpheus, reimagined in Depression-era New Orleans. Some of us had an opportunity to see it last week in a small art school in the Round. The Skyridge production is the exact opposite of In the Round. I was also seated behind some theater alumni, and I will tell you they are the best people to watch a show behind because they are the first ones to applaud, and they are vibrating like they want to be on the stage. They're not. And so I love the way our alumni come back to support our shows. Also, shout out to PG High School Theater. And there's a very cool thing that happens in theater if you're not aware. In all of the different departments, the kids get together and they go support all the different shows across the district. So at any given show that you will show up on any given school, there will be a row of kids in sweaters who are clapping the loudest. And I think there is something really beautiful about that thing that they share. Anyways, as I was sitting there, I was thinking for some of us, I know Emily and I share this in common, we grew up in this world, and there is something so compelling about the relationships in the family and the community that you build, and then you graduate. And some people go on to perform in college or in semi-professional or professional shows later. But I would say that the vast multitude of the students who are in these programs don't carry their performing skills into their adult life. So last night I just had a moment of reflection and thinking, well, not all of us went and did professional things. We become lifelong patrons of the art. And I'm going to tell you why that's important. I had a different conversation yesterday with a parent who was just expressing gratitude. I'm going to try and say this so it's not identifiable, for a teacher who teaches within the arts, and just about how their student, their child, who maybe hadn't found a place to belong somewhere else, once they had come to this group in the arts, that they found their people, and they found a reason to come to school, and had a really stellar teacher who just made the difference for them. And I think we all know within our own children's lives which teachers are the ones that they will get up in the morning and go to school for, even when they don't want to go. Anyways, I happened to have a conversation with said teacher today, and as I was expressing, this parent's gratitude along with my gratitude, the teacher said it's been a really rough year, and it's been really frustrating, and I'm really glad you told me. So I tell you all this very big long story because I've got an ask here. So if you have a child, or you have a neighborhood kid. I saw half of my neighborhood last night was at the show, which was very exciting. Shout out to my people. Please reach out to those teachers. And if you have a teacher from your own high school life out of our district, maybe just reach out and let them know that they make a huge difference. They spend so much time and effort into providing these things, and we don't even sort of compensate them for the hours. And then I'm just going to leave you with this thought. I felt like Hadestown was exceptionally appropriate this year. This is also the first year that any teen editions have been available, so hence the excitement about it. But there is a line in the show that says, "To the world we dream about and the one we live in now." And so shout out to John Brown and his entire crew and all these kids for creating just some really magical moments and opportunities to reflect for our community.
We held the first of 3 employee feedback question opportunities last night at American Fork High School. It was very well attended. We appreciate our employees coming out, particularly with questions about how the reconfiguration will affect them. We'll have another one tomorrow night at Westlake from 4 to 5 o'clock, and then Thursday night at Mountain View High School from 4 to 5 o'clock. So we're trying to do one in each area. Appreciate the staff being there to help answer questions, but the first one went very well. Great employees, great questions, committed to the students and the areas that they serve.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Tonight, is there any other feedback? Okay. Tonight, we have need to adjourn to closed session to discuss personnel. I will entertain a motion to adjourn to a closed session.
I move to enter a closed session per Utah Code 52-4-205 to discuss personnel issues.
Board Member Wilson, aye.
Board Member Clement, aye.
Do I
We
have
need
a
a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I jumped the gun. Board Member Wilson, aye.
Board Member Bateman, aye.
Board Member King, aye.
Board Member Peterson, aye.
Board Member Beeson, aye.
Board Member Lincoln, aye.
Okay, thank you.